So here we are. I'm going to do a short video to show you what is wrong with the education system. Okay. You've got the education system as a whole, right? Now, what's happened is it's been divided up for different governing bodies, right? So first off, you've got different governing bodies who have different criteria, and it's already quite segmented. Okay. Then what happens as well in the last 10 to 20 years as well, schools and organisations have been turned into businesses, right? So from nurseries to primaries to secondaries, groups of schools turned into academies. And what's happened is we all know about the league tables and the competitive nature that's been introduced. Right, now what this does, as well, what you've got is you move from CSEs to GCSEs to now with different number scales. And each of these governing bodies for different qualifications, because they've been promoted as businesses, right? They all want to find their own different way to stand out and be competitive and attract students. So what you've got is you've got strategic marketing and advertising coming into more of a sales pitch rather than education. It's within the education system, but the schools have been sold off, right? Turned into businesses for profit, right? And this is the league tables. And what's happened is a lot of the academic direction, right, it's been very strategic. And then what you get as well is some people who are not so academic, whereas a lot of the life skills and the other subjects that weren't so mainstream, maths, English, science, right? What they do is they sort of fall by the wayside, and sort of employers aren't so easily impressed with them unless it's a specific agricultural industry or very specific to a high degree, right? So what happens is that those people sort of part way through the secondary school sort of fall away a little bit and get demotivated. Anyway, looking at the education system as a whole, the strategy that has broken the system has been one of making profit. Competitive nature being introduced. And what's happened is it's not done what they thought it would, right? They thought it would improve standards. What it's actually manifested is that the grading, the quantifying, the measure in different ways. So whereas maybe 20 years ago you would have had like the 5 GCSEs A to C, right? You've got different grades now. You've got different numbers, right? They're scaling the levels on 1 to 9, right? Now the criteria that's in them different sections is different depending on which area of the education system you're in. And what happens is, this is a big thing that were sort of some years ago about SATs in primary schools, the pressure that they're putting on young people, and that's not alleviated. In fact, it's increased, and it's increased in different sections and different areas of the education system. So it sort of pressures, and then you move into the next stage, and you get a little breathing space, and there's pressures. Right. And the student-wise, it's pressuring and hurting students. Teachers and staff in the school, it's very confusing for them. I'm not saying that in a derogatory or disrespectful way, but it's very narrow, specific. Whereas to support a student, you have a whole sort of life approach, and you work part of that with the whole life in mind. This has become very education in a micro sort of management sort of way, right? And it's damaging the system, because what happens is you've got the education system that's been broken up into different areas, and each of those different sections, and they become just bricks in the wall, right? And then as they are measured in different ways, what happens then is employers and further on in education, they see that you know the different levels and the numbers, and they sort of lose a bit of faith that they understand what level that education level is at for that person. And this is why a competitive business structure doesn't work in education. It doesn't work with people, right? You don't apply business strategies and structure to people. You apply people strategies and supportive networks to people. You apply business and strategic marketing and advertising to a business way. It doesn't work. It's broken. It continues to break. Okay, so you're saying, oh, it's very doom and gloom, very, yeah, it's been heading that way for a while. So you're saying all this, and have you got the answers? Yeah. I spend my days thinking about the solutions to save the world. I'm not joking either. Yeah, I wouldn't be making this video and putting it out there unless I had the solution. Right? They were saying, well, what is it? Well, I will tell you in time to come. What I'm not going to do, right, is I'm not going to give you the answer to how to fix this in a video that can then somebody, people steal other people's ideas. Now, I'm not doing this either just to own it, right? But what happens, you'll find, is that for every question there's an answer, for every problem there's a solution, right? And what happens is, if you have a situation, and here is the sort of goal of the answer, what happens is you need to know the path. Now, through the experience of applying the solution and applying the answer, variables change. So you need to understand the path to then be able to make little adjustments to support getting to where you want to be. Now, there's people who've got some real answers, right? But what happens is somebody wants to turn a profit from an answer, and you don't get to the place that you're at because they try and own it instead of sharing it. If you know how to do something, this is one of the things about charging people for education. Why would you charge somebody to learn? Why? It's part of the pressure and trying to turn a profit, and that's what it is. And they're going to make a big sort of education should be free. We will get there. We will, and anybody who wants to learn should be able to learn, and that's part of the solution that will come from having a people supporting structure of education. All right, so that's why I'm not just sort of drawing it all out and saying this is the answer, because what has happened many times is people have got the answer, modified it or changed it to make it advertising and marketing and change it to develop to their specific goal of making it sellable, making a profit from it. And then you don't get the proper answer. You don't get the solution. You don't get the fix. You don't get the where we need to be, because somebody's taken it and applied their own agenda. The knowledge and education and learning is for everybody. And yes, there is a structure, and yes, we will get there. But what we need, if you look at history, right, the story that we have, this sort of change to get to where we need to be for everybody is going to take some Churchill type balls, right? The sort of balls and that's not a sexy thing. Anybody who wants to have a meltdown or that's they've got issues. It's going to take the Churchill type balls that just says, this is what we're doing, it will work, and in time to come you'll be thankful that we did it, and anybody who disagrees, noted, right? But we're doing it because it's right, and that's what we need. So we need Churchill sized balls, and not just pandering to people who just want to whinge or just want it their own way. If you've got 60 million people, you can't have 60 million variations, right? What you can have is a really good structure, right, that is solid in its flexibility, right? It supports and it adapts. All right, so I've got the workings for that. So I'm not going to make this too long a video. So that's the problem with education. It's been introduced to business. Business has just been savage as a strategy with it for profit, and it's really hurting people. The students are not going to benefit from it really, and as it go on, it'll show itself and it'll show the weaknesses to employers, teachers who move through the industries. It's not supportive. It's the only people who tend to benefit or think they benefit from it are the ones who've come up, sat round a table and have very little experience of people, right? But who are quite good at strategy, which is why you get a lot of these sort of people who've had these whips and sort of PR jobs, right, who end up getting on these sort of like board of education, um, and that's not what you need. You need people strategies, and you need people who know people and how people work and understand people, to have a supportive structure that also can integrate with other areas as well. It's all workable. You just have to stop selling things off and actually put a strategy in that's got some longevity. Otherwise, all they're doing is they're just in for the smash and grab, and that's just going to smash the bricks in the wall, and it's all going to tumble down. So let's grow some balls, and let's pick things, because you were all children once, and you deserved good support. Not enough people got it, so let's not make the same mistake again, otherwise it's just going to gradually get worse. Yeah, let's do it properly.